So yeah, along came 2020, and I remember at the time just thinking, oh, this is brilliant, how cool to just sort of just experience the year of meeting a new community and making new friends, and the van was going well in terms of a living space, and I was starting to embrace van life. I was in the flow of making videos, and so yeah, 2020 was quite interesting because I was really looking forward to it. I met up with Ash in February for a sort of impromptu get-together in Leicestershire, just one little weekend, and Ash did a van tour of my van, and this channel, basically, let's be honest with you, the 1,000+ subscribers that I have are on the back end of one video from Ash. I mean, no one will watch my content, really. In fact, come to think about it, I mean, I'm digressing here, but Dave, one man in his whippet, Brett, Angela, Ash and CJ, their shout-outs have predominantly contributed to the bulk of all of my subscribers. Nothing to do with me. But yeah, 2020, I was really kind of, I was anticipating this new love of meetups and meeting people and showing people around the van and seeing other people's vans and getting inspiration and ideas and everything, and I was so looking forward to it, and it started well, and then took a little trip around Anglesey and around Snowdonia, and that was my last sort of kind of last trip, I suppose. I met a couple of people at various park-ups, and then in the background the pandemic was brewing, basically, and then there was the shitstorm that was 2020, and it was a shame, because it did put a bit of a dent, I suppose, in terms of those relationships that I was forging and forming, and it kind of put everything on hold a bit. But in a weird way, see, 2020, when I look back, wasn't as bad as I thought it was, really. Because that first lockdown, when I was on my mum's driveway, that 10 weeks, it gave me a really good opportunity to kind of centre myself a little bit, and I saved a shit ton of money, which was great, paid off my van loan, paid off some credit cards, so it was good from that point of view. Then of course there was the second sort of stage of lockdown, being on the farm and just having an absolute blast for that summer, and ending that summer in August with the little get-together that I organised for my newfound kind of friends and close contacts, and yeah, there was still kind of like an anticipation. There was still a hope of, you know, things are going to be good, we'll be okay. And I then went back to work at the beginning of August and settled into a new pattern and a new way of working. And we'd come out of lockdown 1 and we went into the summer. There was a Stratford meet, the big international camper van and overlander show, but then that got cancelled. But we still had a meet-up at Willow Field, so there were some overlanders and there was a bunch of YouTubers, so we had that. And then I went away and met some other guys out on the road for a few days and did a bit of airfield and aircraft busting and a bit of aircraft spotting, etc, etc. So had that September to sort of, it was my last kind of, unbeknownst at the time, but that was my last sort of last bit of freedom, because we then go back into another lockdown, the second lockdown, which was obviously way too late, and coming into Christmas and all of the shite, what was it, tier system, and then that was it, because come 21 it was shite. The other downfall about 2020 was that would have been the 4th year that I would have gone to see my children, but the flights were cancelled. So the last time I saw my kids was the 2nd of January 2020 was the last time I saw them. And that, through all of 2020, and where are we now? July of 21, this year and a half of not seeing my children has been probably the hardest thing of all, because it doesn't leave you, it's there all the time. I think about them every single day, and the not being able to see them was absolutely crippling, absolutely crippling. So here then came 2021, and I think I really wanted to kind of aspire and have some kind of hope that things were going to get better, but it didn't really work out that way. Well, not to date anyway. Well, hopefully the future few months is going to be a little bit better. Yeah, the winter of 2020 going into 21 was quite hard. leisure battery was struggling to get any kind of charge, and so I was having to plug into the back of the department quite a lot, at least 2 or 3 times a week. So going through that experience, that was kind of the proverbial kick up the backside that I needed to finally do something about my van electrics. I mean, literally, still cannot believe I went 2.5 years with the electrical system that I had, which really was non-existent. A leisure battery which was there primarily to power the diesel heater. And everything else was AA and AAA batteries. How the fuck did I do 2.5 years like that? I really don't know. But yeah, that going through that winter, that was the kick up the backside, and chatting to my mate Trace and him helping me was just such a godsend. Thanks, mate, because that was just brilliant to just sort of finally spend the money and just do the upgrades and get lighting put in there and everything. Has transformed living in the van massively. But yeah, I was kind of looking forward to 2020, trying to remain hopeful, but it just didn't pan out because that third lockdown was an absolute killer. Because I was living it on the road from park up to park up, and it was depressing and unbelievably annoying watching and experiencing the way people were behaving, and man, was I fucking angry during that third lockdown. I think the frustrating thing about that third lockdown was that society just didn't give a shit. So there were no rules, even though there were, and there were restrictions in place, etc. But no one seemed to give a shit, and I think that's what I found so hard, because I was trying to adhere to these fucking rules whilst every other cunt is doing whatever they like. And you know, the running with the police and just the shite that was going on, and I was just like, it was not a good place. I nearly did give up on van life. I really did, because I was just really struggling. And it was a shit start to the year with, you know, those first few months, January, February, March. It was cold, it wasn't particularly nice. And I'm sort of back in the throes of work and trying to do my job to the best of my abilities. No one around in the department as well, apart from my new colleague. That was very short-lived, but Dave, fucking hell, mate, you were a lifesaver for me. Without you, I really would have been in some serious fucking shit. So, thanks, man. But yeah, it was it was a tough one. And then coming out of the third lockdown and the lifting of restrictions and everything, everybody was being able to exercise those freedoms, and van life in particular. It's always hard when you watch other YouTubers and you're seeing people that you know and you're seeing people meet up and everything like that, and you can't go to any of these meetups because work demands so much of my time, and a lot of weekends I tend to work during term time. I remember June and the Overlander show, those dates being announced, and as soon as I knew it was a thing, I was just like, shit, I can't go. And that was hard when you're witnessing and seeing all these videos and people going out there and finally meeting up, and every opportunity I just wasn't around. Or if I wasn't around, I just wasn't aware of what was going on. So 21 was a really bad start. And I did nearly give up on it. I was this close to just going, do you know what? Fuck it. I've got some money saved. There's a deposit and a few months' rent, and go back into renting again. I was so unbelievably close to doing it.